All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show here on the Strickland YouTube channel, Strickland Twitter. If you listen to this today after Strickland Podcast Network, I'm Sam, running solo once again. Knicks lose 129 to 114 to the Dallas Mavericks. Try to make this as quick as possible. Yeah. Before we get started, though, of course, shout out to Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action. The ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment and political props. Head to Bet Online today. Get on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online. The game starts here. Not the outcome we expected, of course. But as we should all expect at this point, nothing normal happens when we're in any of the Texas teams' arenas, but especially Dallas. I think most people will remember Luka's 60-point game, and various other games that have happened in Dallas that just haven't gone our way. The team really just didn't have it going from the jump. It shows in the box score, especially with guys like OG Anunoby, who coming off a career-high 40-point game, just didn't have it tonight offensively. And most of the team just didn't have it going offensively in the first half. The team really started to pick things up in the second half, but too little too late. It also didn't help that Dallas was just hitting a bunch of impossible shots as well throughout the night. So that definitely didn't help their case, but, it seems to be the case with this team early on in the season. You have some games where the team looks really good offensively for the whole game. And then, you also have these games like tonight where they just don't have it going. All right, let me just go through the box score real quick. Then I'll get to some comments. If you're here, if you're new, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Brunson, 37-7 tonight. He seems like the only person that really had it going offensively consistently from start to finish. So, encouraging to see that from him. Wishing that it carried over to the rest of the team. 14-21 from the field. Got to the free throw line a bunch as well. Although we did get to the free throw line a decent amount, I still feel like there was a lot of questionable calls. And I'm not saying that that's the reason why we lost tonight, but just something to think about, look out for tonight's game as well. But yeah, Jalen Brunson led the way with 37 points. Karl-Anthony Towns helped him along the way with 25, 14, and 4. Mikal Bridges was like the quietest 20 points, I would say. Granted, he got it on 19 shots. 4 of 10 from 3, though. 3 of 9 if you don't count the garbage time basket. But, yeah, this was a really bad, I want to say like pathetic showing, but like bad for this team on both ends. Defensively, they weren't the worst. There were a lot of shots, like I said earlier, that Dallas was just hitting a bunch of nonsense, and at that point, you kind of knew where the night was heading for the Knicks. But yeah, hey, we go to Charlotte next game, and hopefully we can get a win there. One thing that really bothered this team, especially I think that kind of made the offense stagnate in the first half, was Dallas switching everything. That really bothered the Knicks. The Knicks have shown a tendency, like when everything is being switched, they just don't have it, and like guys aren't able to take advantage of, aren't able to create advantages. They aren't able to take advantages of like certain matchups. Towns, for example, one person that just, even though he got his 25 points, certain matchups, especially like in the post, they didn't work out for him. And, this team has to figure this thing out, especially if they want to compete with the top end talent of the league. Especially like a team like Boston, they definitely switch everything defensively. So, like, if you want to have success against a team like that and, go where we expect this team to go, eventually they got to figure that out. So there's that. Pardon me, I had the longest day of my life today. Shout out to New York City people stealing trains, ruining my commute. Um, that's neither here nor there. Um, yeah, I mean, Knicks were a victim of the Quentin Grimes revenge game, um, which should have been expected at this point. I mean, the way things go for this team. But yeah, he had 21 points. He looked pretty comfortable out there. I mean, granted, there was no Luka, there was no Gafford, there was no Klay Thompson. So, the Mavericks were missing a good, significant part of their lineup and still were able to take care of business. Credit to them. Credit to their top six, I would say, or top seven tonight. Top eight. Spencer Dinwiddie decided to, I guess, turn back the clock, you can say, and had 21 points on 21 and 9 on 8 of 11 shooting. And he was just hitting some absolute bullshit shots. And that kind of just let you know what the vibe of tonight was going to be, just in terms of no matter what the Knicks did. I mean, they decided to come back. They tried to come back a bunch of times, and like you would have someone like PG Washington or Quentin Grimes or Dinwiddie just hit a shot and just absolutely kill the momentum for a team. What also killed the momentum for our team a bunch of times was Kid. Kid made sure to call timeouts like as soon as like the Knicks went on like a 7-0 run or something like that. He absolutely killed it. So kudos to him for like recognizing that and trying to stop the Knicks in this in their tracks in these moments. Because who knows where things could have led to if the Knicks were actually able to maintain these consistent runs. But yeah, back to the Knicks, of course. The bench didn't produce as much as we would have liked them to, I would say, this game. But granted, most of this team just didn't have it, especially in the first half. Guys like Payne and McBride and Sims, they usually are like the guys that you can rely on to come in and give us like a spark. Once I saw in like the second quarter, like once they came in, like they just didn't, where they weren't able to give us that juice that they were able to in previous games. Even in a game like Utah, like they were able to give us that juice, but the starters didn't have it. Today, most of the starters kind of had it, but the bench just didn't provide that jolt that we needed when things were really flat early on in the game. I said OG struggled, of course. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 of 15 shooting, 0 of 8 from the field. I mean, this was probably like his first bad game of the year, honestly. And we know he'll bounce back from it. We know that he will perform better because he's been performing at a consistent high level to start this year. So you're just expecting him to get back to that, and I think the next game in Charlotte is the perfect opportunity for that. So we'll see how that goes. Josh Hart, 12 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. Active everywhere, of course. Can't really complain too much about him. But yeah, I mean, all right, let me get to some comments so I can get out of here. I'm going to keep this real short. I know folks got Thanksgiving tomorrow, and I don't want to keep talking about a Knicks loss where it wasn't even close for majority of the night. So shout out to everyone that's in the comments. If you have something that you would like to point out that I can discuss about, then so be it. Chris Bernhardt says nothing good ever happens for the Knicks when they play in Dallas. Yeah, I mean, you got that crazy game where the Knicks basically had it won and then they didn't. And even last year's game where Kyrie had like the 44-point game, Brunson had like 30. Shout out to that game. That game cashed me out for like over a rack last year. So, but yeah, I mean, any game in Texas is not a good game for the Knicks. Not even just Dallas. It's like the Spurs, the Rockets games. They all end up on some bullshit. Like, I don't know. Texas is just not a good state for the Knicks. It's not a good state for a lot of people for a lot of things, but it's not a good state for the Knicks. Speaking of which, Knicks since last season to right now, Knicks are 0-5 when they played basketball in the state of Texas. There you go. Thank you for having the stats to actually back up that claim and like legitimize it. Kyrie is now 19-2 in the last decade, right? I think that is against the Knicks. It's very annoying that we just can't beat this guy. Jordan Bub, Jalen Brunson brings up Jalen Brunson's stats. Had a really good game. Efficient, season high. Just hoping, as with him, as with the rest of the team, that these performances can be consistent. We're creeping up on that 20 game mark that I said is the benchmark for me to start judging them more critically and harshly. So, we're creeping up on it. What was this game 18? This was game 18. We got like 2 more games, and then I can like really start digging in on the Knicks. But yeah, Jordan Bub also says Knicks need to figure out how to attack switching defense like Dallas and Boston, because if the Knicks want to win, they certainly need to improve in that aspect. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the best teams switch, and Knicks got to be able to handle that. And so far, they show that they haven't. I mean, against both of these teams that are listed here, Dallas and Boston, the Knicks have gotten the break speed off them in these games. So that is something that they have to adjust to. And you kind of saw a little bit of that in the second half, I guess, a little bit, but I also felt like Dallas was just like took their foot off the gas just a little bit, but it also just felt like the Knicks kind of upped their intensity on the offensive side of the ball as well. So, we'll see. This was a good test for the Knicks, of course. The Knicks have been facing a lot of wishy-washy teams, I would say. Even Denver was like a sort of a wishy-washy team. But a lot of teams they've been facing, like the Wizards, Nets, Suns without KD and Booker, is just like, not the most consistent talent. And even this Mavericks team isn't like a bludgeoning juggernaut. But like defensively, they're able to do stuff that bothered the Knicks, being shorthanded. So that is something to take into account. Barra says that Precious needs to play the 4 when he comes back. We need defense. 4 in what lineups? What lineups would you want him playing the 4 in? Like, is it next to 5? Is it next to Cat at the 5? Because like I don't want him playing the 4 next to Sims. And Sims seems to be the backup 5, and Precious would seem to be the backup 4. So I'm just wondering where that's going. But yeah, I mean, Precious will definitely help defensively no matter where he slots in. But I think playing him at the 5 next to some spacers is probably the most ideal situation for him. But we'll see. I mean, he's ramping up. He should be. Maybe he comes back against Charlotte. Maybe he comes back that first home game that we have. I don't know who it is again. Let me actually look that up real quick. We play Charlotte on Friday at noon. Very interesting time. I know it's Black Friday, so people are off. We play the Pelicans at home. Okay. Actually, you know what? Either one of these games against Charlotte or the Pelicans, I think is a great opportunity to put Precious in if he's like fully healthy. And then you got the Cup game against the Magic on Tuesday at MSG. So yeah, Precious should be on his way back. And the rotation might go through a little bit of a shift. And that might be the thing that like takes the Knicks, makes the Knicks a little bit more consistent on both ends. Because we know, once that 20 game mark hits, that's usually when the team makes an adjustment. There's a move that's made, something that happens that causes some significant changes to the status quo of the lineup and the rotation. And that's when we see the Knicks like start to like play more consistently. So we'll see. Maybe Precious is that like X factor that makes the Knicks play more consistently and better on defense, especially. Oh boy! All right, almost there, folks. Jordan Bub here. He says Knicks defense wasn't bad, but wasn't good either. Dallas made a lot of contested shots, and you tip your cap, but the Knicks shouldn't let this underman squad get into rhythm either. So when it came time to go on a run, Spencer hit a three, Grimes hit a three, gets fouled. Marshall gets inside for multiple twos, lobs to Lively. Everyone's rhythm, and that's tough to stop. And that's why people were kind of high on Dallas to begin this year. I mean, they felt like they would have the depth to like withstand these injuries and put up performances like this against a team like us. So the Knicks just have to be more locked in from the jump. But sometimes the shot's just not going to fall, and that's what happened with the Knicks tonight. The shots weren't falling. I mean, I felt like I think we got like quality looks. It just they weren't falling, and that sucks. But that's what happens in the NBA, especially with all the shooting variants now. Cat was 25 points, 7 of 16 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 14 rebounds, 4 assists. His stats say he played a pretty okay game. I think, with pardon me, folks. I think with the switching defense, that kind of presented some issues for him, but I feel like in the second half he adjusted. So that is what is that's what's the encouraging thing there. All right. Jordan Bub, shout out to Jordan Bub leaving all these comments here, helping making my job just a little bit easier tonight as I'm doing this solo. Knicks in the first half, 11 of 42 from the field. That's 26% and 13% from three. In the second half, they shot a 66% and shot 38% from three. So, again, you're seeing the stark differences in the halves there. But yeah, I think that, this team, you see its highs, you see its lows. Its lows can be really, really, really low. And then their highs can be as high as what we saw on Monday. So, yeah. All right. Next game is against the Charlotte Hornets. I don't feel like talking about this game anymore. I feel like what has been addressed has been addressed. If there are any quotes out there after the game, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll stick around as long as I can, but my eyes are literally burning right now. And I'm gonna head to sleep as soon as I turn this thing off. But yeah, what was I about to say? I'm telling you, my brain is cooked now. We play Charlotte next. Charlotte has been a very interesting team. LaMelo has been killing the league. Tonight he kind of let off the clip, emptied the clip. There it is. My brain. There it is. Emptied the clip tonight. Against the Heat. In a game where they were down by a lot and they had like this monstrous fourth quarter, 36 points in the fourth quarter. But I mean, LaMelo, he's hit 32, 10, and 7 these last, like, even before this game, like the last like 3 games, he was averaging like 43.5 points per game, like just some insane shit. So Knicks can't let him get his game off, man. I mean, I know guys like that are tough to stop. I mean, if you've seen the clips, like LaMelo's like legit doing like video game shit out there. So it's gonna be very interesting to see if they task our good friend Mikal Bridges, who defensively still is not where we want him to be, especially on screens, point of attack, all that good stuff. Just not where we want him to be. But against a LaMelo, against a Brandon Miller, those two guys have just been absolutely torching shit. Those guys, McCall and OG, just gonna have to lock in, especially McCall. I know OG will most likely do his thing, but McCall has to be better on the point of attack, on the screens, on a lot of stuff. And, we're just hoping that he can do that. But yeah, I think the Knicks should win that game, ending their road trip 3-2. It'd be great to end the road trip, on a win, heading back to the Garden against the Pelicans team, who is actually getting healthier now. So there is that. DeJounte Murray just came back today. CJ McCollum came back a couple games ago. Brandon Ingram's been healthy relatively. It's just literally, I think it's just Zion, though. That's how it hurt, which is the norm. But yeah. All right. I'm going to head out of here. I'm exhausted. If you don't know, I was stuck on the train for much longer than I wanted to today because, of course, in New York City, which is literally modern day Gotham City, someone stole a train, allegedly, and it caused a bunch of backups everywhere. And if you're in New York, you were taking the train today, you probably experienced that. Your boy got home at around 7:30, right before the game started, so didn't even get to take a pregame nap as I would probably usually do. Had a long week of teaching, even those three days. But I appreciate everyone that tuned in for this post game. I hope all of you enjoy your Thanksgiving and the weekend ahead. And I'll be back on Friday. I'll be here on the Friday post game. Hopefully, someone else is with me as well, so we can have some beautiful discussion and rapport, as usual. But shout out to everyone that's here. I hope everyone enjoys their Thanksgiving. Make sure you guys check out all the links in the description. We got links to the site, merch, Patreon, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure you also follow us on Blue Sky as well. Peace.